Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Hey, everybody. Come on in here. You know, it's not every day that I teach you a valuable skill, but this is one of those days. This is a bonus Periscope in which I will teach you the new dance craze called the Beto. Now, you may have heard of Beto O'Rourke. Looks like he's running for president. And he's really the originator of this dance. I'm just the instructor, so I don't want any credit for it. Please don't give me credit for this. But I wanted to show you how to do this dance called the Beto. Now, the first thing you need to do is you have to wear the right dance outfit. Here you see me wearing the most boring button-down shirt I possibly can. You can't see this, but it should be tucked in. All right. Now, if you can't get a button-down shirt, a good substitute would be a sweater that your wife bought you. So either a sweater that your wife bought you or a boring button-down shirt tucked in. That would be your dance outfit. And now if you get that, you're ready for the moves. It's important to loosen up, shoulders loose. Now forward. You got to get the right lankiness. So you make sure you got a lot of looseness going forward. All right. And now here are the moves. I'm gonna give them to you slowly, and then I'll put them all together. Are you ready? First one is shooting. Shoot, shoot, shoot. And you want to go way out. Don't go like this. That's not dancing. This is not dancing. That's not dancing. This is dancing. All right? So that's shooting. Then there's the next move called the mime. All right? So you've got the shooting and the mime. We're going to put it all together in a minute. Then you've got the left-handed shooting. It looks a lot like this, except it's the other hand. Shooting. And then he's got, when he talks about, let's say, deficits and crime, he likes to say, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down, all right? Maybe sometimes two hands, bring it down, bring it down. And then the patented Beto, love yourself, which goes like this. Now, I'm gonna put it all together. You might wanna play along at home. And it goes like this. Shoulders ready. Shoulders ready. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Mime, mime, mime. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Bring it down, bring it down. Love yourself, love yourself. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Mime, mime, mime. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Bring it down, bring it down. Love yourself. Got it? Whew. Now, if you've mastered that move, and I'm sure you have by now, let's talk about another really interesting thing that's happening in the news, which is you saw the vote that the Senate has turned down the bill that would have supported the president's executive order. Is that the right way to say it? Anyway, we've gotten to the point where the president is going to have to veto the Senate bill so that he can keep his executive order. Now, here's the interesting thing about it. The Republicans wanted to accomplish two things. They wanted to get the wall funded, but they also did not want to give presidents new powers by setting a precedent that an executive order can affect the budgets. But there were two things that seemed to be impossible to get at the same time. You know, how do you avoid setting the precedent and also get the money? They didn't have a way to do that. So what they did is the most clever thing. A dozen or so, I think it was a dozen of the senators, Republicans, decided to vote against it. So a dozen Republicans basically voted against the president. But it was probably the people who have the best chance of getting reelected. In other words, it probably won't hurt them. And it looks like they're making a stand on conscience and supporting the Constitution. So this is that rare case where voting against the president probably isn't going to cost you much. But here's what's fun. If you're worried about the precedent, what's weird about funding the border is that everybody wants it. Democrats want it, Republicans want it, they all think border security is important. And if you ask them how is the best way to do it, I believe both Democrats and Republicans would say, let's ask the experts. And once the experts have weighed in, we'll fund it. So this is a weird situation to use an executive order because it would be hard to recreate this situation. How often do you find a situation where the Congress is on the same side and still can't pass a bill? I mean, that's very rare, right? Normally they would have to be on opposite sides. But it's only this rare situation of President Trump where for political reasons they just can't let him have anything. So they can't even agree with their own opinions if it gives Trump a victory. So what exactly is the precedent that's being set? And I would argue that the precedent is, in one sense, the precedent is that the executive order is gaining more power, which means that the presidents of the future will have more power. But there's something specific about this precedent. And the precedent is that both sides want what the executive order will order. Yeah, there's a small difference on the amount, some differences maybe on their preferred method, but they would all like border security and they would all like to largely follow what the experts say is the smartest thing to do. So they're not really that far off. So if the precedent is that the president can override a constipated Congress where everybody's on the same page, let's put some money toward border security, that should be the precedent. So the precedent is that the president can use the executive order when everybody's on the same side. How about that being the precedent? Because when's that ever going to happen again? And if it does happen again, and it happens with a different president, let's say there's a Democrat president, and for whatever reason, we get the same situation where the Republicans and the Democrats don't really disagree, but they're still fighting each other for political reasons. Would you care if that future president said, look, we all want exactly the same thing or close enough to the same thing? I'm just going to do it. Now, the veto could be overridden if the Congress voted in larger amount, I guess 2/3 or whatever, to override it. But in a situation where people weren't on the same side, you would probably quite easily get the 2/3 vote to limit the executive order if it was, again, something about money. So I'm not entirely sure that the Republicans didn't do one of the most clever moves you'll ever see. It looks like they put the safest senators forward, the ones who tend to vote on principle a little bit more than the others. Then you throw in Romney just because, he's Romney. So I feel like they thread the needle where they created a very narrow precedent, which is what they cared about. At the same time, they can say, well, we voted against it, those ones that did. The others can say we did everything we could do to get funding for the border. It's kind of starting to look like one of the smartest things I've ever seen, assuming it was organized. Now, by organized, I mean somebody's counting votes. Did Mitch McConnell and some of the people who voted against the president, did they talk about it? And did they say, look, we're going to, a dozen people voting against him prevents the precedent. It shows that there's resistance. It shows that the Republicans are not trying to take over the world, that we have principled resistance even within the Republicans. We've made a stand for the Constitution. It's a lot of good stuff, right? It's not too hard to defend any of this. So maybe it was just happenstance, maybe it was luck, maybe nobody planned anything, maybe they're all just pursuing their own self-interest. But it's weird that they hit on exactly the right formula, which is voting against the president, but not in a high enough number that it could get overturned. It feels like that's exactly where they wanted to be. So, you've got that going on. Does anybody have a good nickname for Beto? I'm very entertained watching CNN and folks who are anti-Trumpers becoming anti-Betos. He is getting roasted on CNN. So he made that cringeworthy comment that he was born for this, that he was born to run for president, and that's a real bad look if you're a Democrat and you're a good-looking white guy. It probably removed any chance he had of getting elected. But that's one of those cases where he clearly didn't mean it that way. There's no real chance. I don't think there's any chance that when Beto said that, he was thinking in terms of, I'm a white guy, so it's my destiny to be president or something. I can't for a minute believe that that's the case. I can't read his mind, but that would be hard to believe. The ordinary way to say that is that you think you're well suited for it, and it's just a turn of the phrase that was poorly executed. So I don't think there's anything real there, but he's attracting the wrong kind of. Yeah, was it Kennedy or somebody on Fox News who came up with beta O'Dork? I don't think that's the right nickname. So here's some persuasion advice. You don't want to be calling Beto O'Rourke beta. Can anybody tell me why? Politically, that's bad. Now, humor-wise, you might think it's pretty hilarious, and I'm not gonna argue on the humor level. But can anybody tell me why it would be a huge mistake to call him beta? Well, I'll jump ahead and just tell you. You don't want to insult voters. You don't want to insult voters. Do you know why someone running for president should not fat shame another candidate? I'm pretty sure Trump's probably done it, but in general, you would never want to fat shame another candidate because the voters hear he doesn't like me either, because we've got a pretty hefty country here. So there are a lot of people who probably don't like that word beta. They probably wonder if they are called that. Maybe they've been teased that way before. Maybe they're a little sensitive about that. So if you call the opposition beta, no matter how hilarious you think that is, and I won't dissuade you from your fun, but it's very counterproductive, because what you really did is you told a whole bunch of voters that you probably don't like them either. Terrible move. Somebody was suggesting Goofy. Now, Goofy is really good. Goofy, the character Goofy from Disney. But the problem is you wouldn't be able to use it in ads. So let me quickly switch gears. It just occurred to me that you couldn't use Goofy in the sense of tying it directly to Goofy, the character from from Disney, because you would literally have a copyright problem that would shut you down right away. So you couldn't put it in a meme that would last long. It would be taken down right away. But if you used it in the general sense, without reference to the character, which would be impossible because people would just use the character anyway. It could have some legs, but yeah. Anyway, that's all I got for now, and I will talk to you later.